Welcome, everybody, to the Forward Progress Tuesday early best bet show. I'm your host, G Stack George. I got Christopher Dierkes Flup with me and Judah with me. We are really looking forward to doing this. And sorry for being late. Flup was very self-conscious about how all the comments about his hair on his appearance on the Hammer Daily. So I suspect that's what held him up.
Yes.
He said it was a more important matter, but I'm not quite believing him. Thank you, everybody who's in here. We're really looking forward to doing this. Before we start, I want to take issue at something like the Thursday show said about us. They think we have the advantage going on Tuesday because we get in before the market. I actually think Tuesday's a bad day. It's a day after the market has moved on Monday, and it's still before we get any injury clarity. They get all the injury clarity, and like I
George,
feel.
what are you talking about? It's easier earlier in the week. It's always easier earlier in the week.
Way easier.
I'm you know what? I'm gonna say we got the harder duty. I don't like the fact that they think.
Okay, look, I love bashing the other show, but I can't lie. I mean, we definitely have the easier.
We're just gonna ignore what happened yesterday, right? As though like massive injury news didn't come down on Monday. Like, yeah, I get injury reports, sure, but like the real injury reports come like Saturday night into Sunday. Earlier in the week, I think for sure we're at an advantage.
All I'm saying is, if I was on the Thursday show, I would have given out Green Bay as my triple hammer last week, and I'm a little mad that I didn't have that. Didn't get to bet into the efficient game day line. I'm joking, of course, but I do want to recap our results from last week because we had some mixed results. There's some stuff we want to pick up. Jacob, I'd like to see how we did last week. I went 2-1. I lost my triple hammer with Jacksonville plus 3.5 in a game that they were covering the entire game except the final minute. Indy and the Chargers get home. Flup, you went 1 for 3, and if not for a miraculous backdoor cover, you may have been swept to start.
All priced in. It's all priced in. I knew
you factored in. It's a 4-quarter game. Judah gets New England home. Jets and Washington don't get there. I guess the one question I'll have before we even move forward to anything, Jets. The whole market was wrong on the Jets. Was that a case of like the Jets were being overrated off a week 1 performance? The Bills' defense was being underrated? Or do you think it was just the game got away from Jets, and then once they got out,
Judah was like, "Oh, Justin Fields is a top 8 quarterback." It was ridiculous. So like, I feel like it was definitely massive overrated.
Chris opens up the podcast. I don't want to lie. Chris, 3 minutes later, bold lies.
You guys were stepping in front of each other to say who got the play in first. Rob also jumped on it. GRP had it. I'm going to blame GRP. GRP mushed the Jets play for everybody on the hammer. That's what actually happened. I'm actually really looking forward to this show, but not discussing the first game. Miami and Buffalo Thursday night football game. I guess the injuries we're watching for in this game, Ed Oliver and Matt Milano didn't practice for the Bills yesterday. For the Dolphins, Storm Duck is still not practicing. Aaron Brewer was limited, and that would be really bad on the O-line, but they're optimistic he can go. I want to start with you. Judah. Do you feel better about Buffalo's defense after seeing them against the Jets?
I don't think so. I think like there's not a ton of data here. That game also kind of got out of hand pretty quickly, and I think that game state's going to always make your defense look better. I think we saw it to a little bit of a degree last year with Minnesota, and there are plenty of other examples of that phenomenon. Look, I think this is a Bills defense that finished the season as a bottom 5 pass defense for sure last year. We saw it early on in week 1. Obviously, like the Ravens are going to be able to score at will against anyone. I don't think this is going to be a great defense. It doesn't necessarily matter if Josh Allen's playing to the MVP caliber again. They're going to be favorites in many, many games.
Yeah, Flip, I'm looking at the market here right now at FanDuel. It's Buffalo 11.5 point favorites minus 114. 49.5 is the total. Last week we saw it with Baltimore, Cleveland. It kind of like, bounced within a point, but there wasn't much interest to steam it either side. Where do you think this ends up going? Do you think there's going to be some people that look at this number and say a little bit too big on Miami?
Well, I was pretty wrong about Cleveland, Baltimore last time. I thought they would close 11.5, and then at the end, all this late, but Baltimore money came in, and I just think there's a lot of anti-Miami money that's ready to come into the market, and they'll want to enter in. I would not be surprised if this gets to 13, although we are getting some stark buyback. So I don't know. It's really tough to say.
Yeah, I don't suspect we're going to have a bet on this game. I want to know from the comments and all our audience, if you have any bets this week, please drop them in the chat. We'll be happy to look at them and discuss them. Moving on to the next game, Indianapolis at Tennessee. And this is interesting because we're going to have some crossfire on this. Let me start off by saying the right now the number at FanDuel is -3.5, -110. The over under right now is 43.5, -106 to the over. The injuries we're kind of watching for is, again, J.C. Latham and Tavondre Sweat, who didn't play for Tennessee last week. And then we're looking at Charvarius Ward and Latu, who didn't play for Indianapolis. First of all, let's start with you, Flup, because Jude and I have something on this game on opposite ends. Where do you see the market going in this game?
I mean, right now it's been just straight Indianapolis money, and makes sense when you go 2 weeks without punting and Titans don't look good. I think it's just going to be one-way money until someone is brave enough to buy Tennessee, but we have not seen anyone brave enough to buy Tennessee yet. I could totally see this closing 4.5. Even a 5 wouldn't surprise me here, because I just don't think there's going to be much resistance. Why do you want to who wants to back Tennessee and who wants to bet against Indianapolis at this point? Got to be hard to stretch to find someone.
I'll answer that question in about a minute. Judah, tell us all the reasons why you like Indy, and then if it is a play for you today.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like some element to like the Colts offense. Obviously, we need to update. I think it's kind of lazy to, and I've heard this a bunch in the past couple of days of like, oh, the same thing happened with the Saints, as though that's like any sort of comparison. Like, this offense was good, another offense is good, therefore the second offense is going to be bad. I think that's kind of nonsense. The Titans defense has not been particularly good. Daniel Jones has looked like not necessarily a different quarterback from a standpoint of like his production and his style of play. Definitely from his production. His style of play, like chart something like system rate. He's still like playing in system. It was 70.1% of the time last year. 70.2 this year. Obviously, we only have a 2-game sample here. But yeah, when you're playing with at least the Colts weapons and offensive coordinator Shane Steichen, and at this point, they have been terrific. And his EPA has increased by like 0.6 points on these plays. His pressure to sack rate is way down. Also, like, let's not discount that the second game happened against the Broncos defense. The Broncos defense is extremely good. And I think that will continue throughout the season. They're not hurt like the Saints were last year. I think we have to upgrade this offense as one that, like, I'm not saying I'm ready to crown them as the best offense in the NFL, but like, we have to increase our prior, and the market's not, I don't think, yet there. But really where this bet ultimately comes down to is Cam Ward's been dreadful. And I think almost we've had some warped perceptions of what rookie quarterbacks can do after back-to-back years of Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud putting together rookie performances. Cam Ward has a 14% sack rate and a 31% pressure to sack rate. You're just not going to be able to sustain drives that way. And every single one of his numbers looks terrible. Like, that's not so surprising for a rookie quarterback. And that isn't to say he isn't going to get better. But at this current moment in time, I don't see how you can bet on Tennessee, certainly. They've shown nothing. They're extremely conservative. They're putting Cam Ward in a ton of third and long situations, and he gets sacked a ton. It's just not a recipe for success.
All right, you make a lot of good points. I take all of that, and I give you that I want the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5 as my double hammer. I actually make the line a smidge under 3, and right now I have value in the number. I know that the market's going to 4. I personally have not bet it yet. I am waiting for a 4. There's not much I can say statistically. If I tell you that the Titans defense played better against the Denver offense than Indy did, then you can tell me that Indy's offense played far better against Denver's defense than Tennessee did. I just like the way the Titans run defense matches up against Indy, and I kind of want to see what happens when Danny Dimes cannot run successfully, which he has, which the Indy offense has been able to do. I don't want to make a strong case. I just think the Broncos and the Rams are an awful, and I bet against the Titans last week, is an awful first 2 games for Cam Ward. Very good defensive lines. I think he's looked worse than he is. And with the Indy defense, there's going to be a lot more escapability from Cam Ward. I think Calvin Ridley's going to have a far bigger game. And ultimately, I'm getting the right side of 3 here on a game I make 2.9. So I'm going to do it. I am going to plug my nose and bet the Titans.
Okay, I just don't understand. You think the line is going to 4, potentially 4.5, and we're betting 3.5 on a double hammer. What is going on here? This is like 2 plus 2 is 7.
Because here's the thing, Flup. Because in my personal bet, I can wait because I can anticipate market. But in isolation, if you told me it's going to close 3.5, I'm still making the bet. It's not that I'm making the personal bet. And here's the thing, and I'll give it to you. I bet the Titans week 1 and I covered, and I bet against the Titans week 2 and I covered. And right now I feel I have a good read for Titans games, and I can't ignore dipping in the third time. And it's not like I'm blindly backing the Titans.
I just flipped a coin and I was heads twice in a row, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be heads the third time too.
You ever feel like you know something on a team that the market doesn't, or you're always going to be a slave to the market, Flup?
I just want to hear what that thing is. The run defense?
Yeah, I think the Titans are better than they've played. And listen, I'm going to have a lot of egg on my face if this doesn't win, but we are leading. We're doing 40 minutes to start the show next week on the Titans if the Titans cover the game. Okay, I want you guys to know that. I don't know if that's going to make our sponsor happy. FanDuel is our sponsor. We're happy to have him. The NFL's back, and if you're betting on FanDuel this season, here's some things to keep in mind. Number 1, celebrate your wins like I'll be doing when the Titans win, whether your same game parlay has 2 legs or 10 legs. Always use your legs to celebrate appropriately. Cam Ward, use your legs. No kickoff, no problem. Live betting, the next play could be your play. And if you're a new customer, bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. And now you're ready to play your game on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to download the app today and get started. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. Let's move on to a game that I also disagree with on market. Pittsburgh at New England. The injuries we're watching for, again, Christian Gonzalez and Keon White did not play last week for the Patriots. Morgan Moses got banged up. On the Steelers side, they're really banged up. Alex Highsmith is not going to play. Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter missed last week. So did Derek Harmon, and they're also missing Isaiah Loudermilk. That's a lot of guys on that defense, like 5 starters potentially out. I want to start with you, Flup. Someone in the market likes Pittsburgh because they got steamed into oblivion last week on game day, and I just kept sitting there with Seattle, and I'm like, this bet, I like Seattle at 3. I'm like, and I saw some 4s on Sunday morning. What's happening here?
I think someone thinks that Rodgers looks pretty good, and Rodgers is a quarterback that, like, you never know. He could be playing at that old Rodgers, like, top 5 level play. I don't think that's what he's playing right now, but I think if I had to guess, that's what someone believes, that, hey, the Steelers' offense is a lot better than what it has been in the last few years. Steelers has been historically weak offense recently, but with Arthur Smith and Rodgers, you never know how they're going to look. And they've always had a solid defense. T.J. Watt still exists. So if I had to guess, that's probably what it is. But people like this team for different reasons. But typically when they do like a team, they keep clicking them for the next couple of weeks.
Speaking of liking teams, Judah, New England was your triple hammer last week. You bet them. How do you think they match up against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main question with Pittsburgh, first off, that was a bet selling Miami, if anything. So I don't think that was a pro New England stance. I think it's really a question of like how good is the Pittsburgh defense, and I think there was kind of a very strong prior on the pass rush being exceptionally good. TJ Watt has not been the same. Obviously, they're going to be without Alex Highsmith, but they have depth there with Nick Herbig, who was also terrific last year, filling in for Highsmith. Yeah, but they've been terrible. They've been terrible through 2 weeks by any stretch and any metric you want to look at. If this defense is like they've been the past couple of weeks, New England can kind of steamroll them. And then like the New England secondary is atrocious right now. I don't think that like certainly until Christian Gonzalez comes back, they're going to be one of the most vulnerable defenses. They've got the highest yards per attempt allowed right now. I think that like to Fluff's point, it's a question of like how good is Rodgers. I'm not ready to buy. This is a game that I'm sitting out. There are way too many question marks. Though, I don't know. There are so many ways, and Drake May has certainly, at least through 2 games, seemingly taken a step forward. But that's all kind of mute if the Pittsburgh defense is rolling.
Yeah, even though I do make New England 1-point favorite, I don't know that I want to jump into this game. There's a lot of uncertainty for myself right now at FanDuel, -1.5, -115. If you like Pittsburgh, the over under is 44.5. I thought about playing the over, and with those injuries, I probably am going to end up on the over. Let's move on to New York Jets at Tampa Bay. Right now, it is 6.5-point favorites for Tampa Bay, -120. The over under right now in that game is 44.5. We got a lot of questions injury wise. Is Tristan Wirfs going to go? Luke Gadecki is going to be out. On the Jets side, Jermaine Johnson was a big one on defense, but Justin Fields with his concussion is the thing to watch for. Flup, I guess let's start with the market, I guess, because it feels like this is going to be a week of like guess where the line goes after we get the injury clarity. Where do you think this line settles with or without Justin Fields? Is it how big of a drop off is it to Tyrod Taylor?
I mean, I don't think he's that much worse than Justin Fields. I mean, I didn't think just like I said, before the start of the season, I thought Justin Fields was just like fringe. Is he even top 32? Probably somewhere between 28 to 32. After week 1, it was like, okay, maybe he's closer to 16 than 32. It was close. But Tyrod Taylor he's probably, in my opinion, a slightly above average backup. And I just don't think the drop off from like QB 26 to QB 38 is that significant. We're talking about probably 1.5, maybe 2. And this is probably 4.5, maybe even 4 with Fields in. But then you factor in the Wirfs and Gadecki out. That's pretty significant. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up closing 5.5. I think if you can get some cheap 7s, I would gladly take it. If you can get some expensive 7s, I would still take it. Or cheap 6.5s, I would definitely take it. And I just think this is one-way action on New York. I would be shocked if we see any 7s or 6.5s, like 6.5 05s on kickoff.
Yeah. One thing I look at is Tampa Bay is really, really bad right now at stopping the run. They're second worst in both defensive rush EPA per play and defensive rush success rate. Judah, do you think there's a potential here for the Jets to move the ball well on the ground?
I think there's certainly more potential with Fields in there than Tyrod Taylor. I'm not worried about this Bucs run defense. And certainly they stuck to the run up until literally 1 carry from Nick Chubb last night. But yes, I think like that is part of the dynamic. If your offensive coordinator is as good as people seem to think that Enstrom is, and having Justin Fields, like you can run on anyone and you're going to be somewhat matchup proof in there. I think Tampa Bay, we have such a long prior of like Todd Bowles defenses with Vita Vea, they're going to be fine stuff in the run. I think the question is like, first off, is Baker Mayfield like actually healthy? Seemed to have like an actual injury there. And number 2, like this offense just has not been the same through a couple of weeks by any statistical category. And I think the conversation is very different if Baker Mayfield doesn't heroically scramble on 4th and 10 here. So I'm concerned about both sides of the ball. Again, so many question marks, not a game that I want to be betting.
Yeah, and I need a little bit more clarity on the injury front before I get involved. Let's move on to Cincinnati and Minnesota. This is quite an interesting game because the injuries on both sides are like piling up. Let's start off with the big one. Let's talk about Joe Burrow and him going down. And right away, the conversations have come up about, do you remember what Jake Browning did in 2023? Jacob, if you can pull that up. He actually played he played not bad. People said, you know what, the offense still moved the ball well enough, and there was a semblance of an offense. And these numbers are courtesy of our friends at FTN, because every bettor talks themselves into picks, but FTN helps you talk yourself out of bad ones. The platform gives you unbiased team and player context, so you are not chasing last week or falling for hype. It keeps your analysis honest, fast, and consistent, with the real edge over a long season. If you want that kind of discipline in your workflow, start with Stats Pro or upgrade to Stats Goat. Use Hammer 10 for 10% off. Head over to ftnfantasy.com or click the link in the description. And then on the other side, we have the Minnesota question marks. JJ McCarthy's out, so we get Carson Wentz. And all of a sudden, Darisaw didn't play last week, and his backup also gets concussed and leaves the game. And their starting center gets concussed and leaves the game. And Aaron Jones is not going to play. This is the game where if you feel you have good medical information, you could have some edges. Flup, you believe you have something here, right?
Yeah. Look, Judah will probably couch some nonsense about disruption rate and creation rate or whatever bullshit, pull up some charts. But let me tell you the things that matter. Brian Flores is defensive coordinator for the Vikings, and Jake Browning is the quarterback for the Bengals. That's a mismatch. I'm backing the Vikings here. Additionally, I'm not so sure Wentz is a downgrade at quarterback. Look, would I want Wentz to be the starting quarterback for the entire year over McCarthy? Probably not. But this would be McCarthy's third game playing, and I just trust Wentz, who's been a multiple year in this league, to run a Kevin O'Connell offense with the weapons that he has in Justin Jefferson. And look, Aaron Jones being out, that's not really anything. Jordan Mason might be the better running back, to be honest with you. And I don't obviously losing the offensive line is always tough, but it's a cheap 3. I will happily back Wentz and Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores over Jake Browning on quarterback. Yes, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to be tough, and they're still going to probably have some bombs and get through. But I think Flores has always managed to find a way to shut down rookie quarterbacks and bad quarterbacks, which is what Jake Browning is, a bad quarterback.
I don't think that sentence has ever been uttered in years. I will happily back Carson Wentz. Judah, do you want to retort to that? Do you agree?
This is the onion meme of worst person makes a good point. I do think that Brian Flores is going to have Jake Browning in a blender. Though I obviously have to retort the last statement of you make this whole case of Jake Browning being bad and then go on to, as G-Sec just said, back Carson Wentz. Let's be realistic about who the quarterback is.
No, but do you really think that Carson Wentz is downgrade over JJ McCarthy for week 3?
No, I mean, you can't get much worse than JJ McCarthy's playing, but there's still some. The market is still rating some prior Minnesota offense good. So I think that's kind of the actual point to reference. But yes, 100% right now, based on what we've seen from JJ McCarthy through 2 weeks, in week 3, I'd rather have Carson Wentz as quarterback.
We make our own lines and see it against market, and there's times where we believe there's a comfortability that we got it right. I have no clue if my number is accurate, so I can't trust a market number that I made when it's huge question marks on both sides. I'm going to stay away personally. Let's move on to Las Vegas at Washington. The injuries to watch: Jackson Powers Johnson didn't play for the Raiders, but I'm burying the lead. It really is Jaden Daniels and his MRI, and the fact that he was limping, and the fact that he might have a brace. I guess let's start off with Judah. Do you have any sense of where this lands with Daniels, in or out? If Daniels plays and he's hobbled, Do you have any clue where this market's going to go?
Like if he's hobbled, it's not information we'll have access to, right? So like
Yeah.
that kind of matters a lot.
If he's playing with a brace, can we just assume that he's not at 100%?
We can't know. Like there was a game that I think of as like a reminder of the humility. There was like I think it was Thursday night, Jaguars Saints, or Trevor Lawrence. It seemed like had a major ankle sprain, and he's out there rushing for 40 yards.
Yeah, a lot of people bet his rush under with certainty there.
Yeah, so it just it is a reminder to take everything with like a huge grain of salt, and certain players are going to be different than others. I have no idea. This is like,
I mean, what about the Herbert when he had the sprained rib and he versus the Jags? He was complete dog shit. He might have been worse than the backup for that game. You don't know what you're gonna get.
We have no idea, and it's like I'm not interested in betting on these games right now. Like
so
so much question.
I want to share, Judah, what you've missed out on because you're in the wrong Circa Super Team. In our group chat, we were discussing this last week when the line was sitting at 6.5. We were well aware of this secret MRI that nobody knew of, and right now the line's at Washington -3.5, 44.5. Here's the thing: I don't know if I want to say this and look like a crazy person. This is around the line that I close to where I make it with Daniels healthy. So I just need the clarity of Daniels. I would like to get back. I'm already on Las Vegas, and I'd like to get on Vegas no matter what the news is based on where the market goes. Flup, how about you? How are you looking at this game?
Well, I want to ask Judah a question first. Judah, if I told you Jaden Daniels is playing, what percent of Jaden Daniels' ability do you assume? 80%, 90%, 100%? You have to make some assumption. Okay.
I can. How much is he going to play? Like 80%, but that 80% is also meaningless because it's all like you need to take the composite whole, especially with Jaden Daniels, right? Where it's like he's not. You don't just like plug in 80%. It's that. Fair enough. If he can't run as well, his passes are also affected. They're like second order effects. It's kind of just like we can make up numbers and guess, but like the reason why I'm not giving answers is because I don't want to bet on anything because there's way too much uncertainty and not uncertainty in the direction I like.
Yeah, fair enough. I think right now the market is pricing in that he's more likely to play than not because if he's a 3.5, I just don't think this gets to past 6 if he's in. And Jaden Daniels, if anyone says Jaden Daniels is worth less than 5 points, I question. Wait, who is even their backup right now? Why can't I think of their backup?
Marcus Mariota.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Marcus Mariota is definitely 5 or 6 points worse than Jaden Daniels. So this strikes me as something that this probably goes to like 1, maybe 1.5 if he's out, and then like 6 if he's in. I mean, we're going through 3, which is a very, very key number, obviously. I would rather bet the Raiders if he was ruled in because I just don't like to hear sprained ankle. And Jaden Daniels, he's good because of his running ability. Like, I don't think he's this elite passer or anything like that. He's great because you have to game plan around his ability to scramble and get to the outside. And if I don't know if he's going to be able to do that if he's got a sprained ankle, and I think it's going to really hinder their offense. So I'd rather wait and see. And if he's in, bet them. And if he's not, just stay out of the game.
Do you guys care about the whole Widowmaker spot that Drew Dinsick likes to talk about? Team playing the Thursday nighter against the team playing the Monday nighter is good against the spread, or you think the market's baked all that stuff in?
I would assume the market knows about the game time.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's move on to Rams at Philadelphia. Right now, that line is we actually saw some money on the Rams earlier this week, but right now it's Philly -3.5, -102, 44.5, -112 to the over. Injuries we're watching for is Dallas Goedert for Philly, and then Steve Avila still for the Rams who didn't play. I want to start with the Philly offense, Judah. What do you make of it? Because I don't like how they've looked. Like I downgraded Philly last week after a win.
Yeah, I mean the offense is terrible. I don't think this is a very good Kansas City pass defense, and they did nothing. Jalen Hurts' like check down rate is just way higher. I think there's been an emphasis on Hurts not getting sacked as much. and not creating as much pressure, which is certainly down, but like that's going to come in a trade-off. His depth of target is like down 3 yards. His time to throw is the same. I think they're playing just a very safe, conservative style. I think if they need to unleash it, it's possible they do. But like, yeah, we should have a strong prior on the Eagles' offense that they're going to be good, and we should also react to the fact that these 2 games have not been great. I don't think this is a top offense. I don't think it's a bad offense. I think it's way too early to definitively say that it's this 2025 version is going to be significantly worse than the Eagles' offense as we've seen in the past.
Yeah. I guess Flip, I wanted to ask you about the early Rams money. I made the line closer to 3.25, and the line is getting there. It looks like the Rams defenses look really good, but it's against the Texans and Titans. How are you reading this game?
Well, I was honestly very shocked to see this was 3.5, and the Rams took money, and it made me think that wow, people really don't like the Eagles here. I mean, if you told me at the beginning of the season, I would have guessed this was closer to 6 than 3.5. So, which is why earlier today I gave out the Cowboys futures because I think the market doesn't like it. And if you think about it, I think Judah and you are right. The Eagles' offense is not looking too hot. I mean, they were a top 5 offense last year. Are they average this year? Probably, which is kind of scary to think about when they have so many good weapons and still got the tush push and Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown. So I don't know why they're struggling so much and why they don't look good, but I would rather back Philly though and that they turn it around. But this is just a pass for me right now.
Yeah, and I don't like the Akello Witherspoon injury. I think that's a bad one for the Rams. Not that he's a great player, but he worked in their secondary, and I don't trust that their secondary has the depth to afford that. You know what? I'll tell you what I do at noon. I watched Flup today with Jason Cooper on our Hammer Daily Show. It's quickly becoming a must-watch for me every day at noon on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel. It's a good appetizer to start your betting day. You got Flup out there giving good futures, getting roasted for his haircut. I actually really enjoyed the show, and I think if you haven't watched it yet, please tune in. I think you will enjoy it. Let's move on to New Orleans at Seattle. Right now in the market, it looks like, where are we here? I apologize. Oh, it looks like it's -7, -122 for Seattle. Basically 7.5's in the market. 41.5 is the total. Let's start with you, Judah. Any thoughts on this game?
Not relative. I think the market's got this one pretty much right. I guess just like something to monitor is that like Spencer Rattler in his previous NFL experience was the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's been kind of mid through 2 games this season. I'm not saying like I don't think he's going to be great, but it's possible that like he will be better going forward. Again, it's 2 games. I don't really have a strong prior on how good the Cardinals and Niners defenses are going to be. There still are some weapons, but yeah, the Seahawks are a way better team. Mike McDonald's defense, I imagine, is going to have Rattler all over the place. I think 7's a fair number.
Flup, what about you? What are you looking at in this game in the market?
I kind of agree with what Judas saying. Like, Saints kind of suck. I'm not really that high on the Seahawks either. Like, I think it's pretty fair. I don't really have anything to add. I would be shocked if we broke 7 here at all. And I would be shocked if the Seahawks took significant money because, like, do you really want to get up to like 8, 8.5? I make it 7.5. Seems reasonable to me.
I slightly raised my prior on Rattler, and I was open-minded. I said last year he played 6 games, but he was missing Rashid Shaheed for 4 of them, and he was missing Olave for 4 of them. And I said, I wonder what it would look like if everybody was kind of playing. Now, I make this game 6, and I can't bet on New Orleans right now. But I tell you, I prefer the overlook. I think Seattle's defense has the final scores have been kind to them. I thought San Fran left a lot of points on the board with missed field goals, plus the fact that they had injuries in game. I thought Pittsburgh left points on the field when Jaylen Warren takes the ball down on like a hero run to like inside the red zone, and they come away with no points. Obviously, I want Witherspoon's to be out. But I do like New Orleans, Seattle over 41.5, -105 right now, best in market. Going with New Orleans, Seattle over for my single hammer. Let's move on to Atlanta at Carolina. Carolina got some bad injury news clusters. Austin Corbett and Robert Hunt, their center and guard, went to the IR. Deshaun Wharton didn't play last week. Their defensive tackle. AJ Terrell is still he ended up getting banged up for the Falcons. Right now, let's look at the early line there. If I can just apologies there. Is that I'm gonna look at the main market screen. Right now it looks like -5.5, -113 in market. This game got steamed before we even got on air. There's it's 6 around near everywhere. Let's start off with you guys. Flup, you had the Panthers. You got the cover. They made a comeback in the fourth quarter. The stats are kind to them because Arizona had this thing where they just decided to go to basically end the game and just happened to be on the field for that. What do you make of this game in general?
Well, you know what they say. Good teams win, great teams cover, and the Panthers are a great team. No, I think this line is actually pretty fair. Obviously, my bet last week was quite bad. It closed closer to 7, and you never want to be having, even though it was a cheap 6.5, you never want to have a 6.5 when the market closes 7. So obviously bad bet. I was hoping Bryce Young would turn it around. He is Bryce Young of all but last 6 games of last year. He no longer looks good anymore. And the Falcons look decent-ish. I mean, I was pleasantly impressed with them this past weekend. So I think the market's pretty fair here.
Well, I'm going to go to you, Judah. Atlanta's defense has kind of been impressive to me so far. What do you make of this game?
Yeah, I mean, they've been impressive, but also they played JJ McCarthy, who was atrocious, and Tampa Bay. I think the jury's still out, but I don't think they're as good as people think. Yeah, I think this game's mostly right. The Falcons, I think, are a way better team. I think there's certainly a fat tail here. I don't see how Carolina is going to stop the run. They've been a disaster, and pass protection seems like it's going to be a major problem for Carolina this week. Yeah, I can see Atlanta blowing them out. I can also see another disgusting backdoor cover here. But Atlanta's clearly the better team.
Yeah, Flup, you're not getting a lot of love in the comments about your lucky win. I'm also not getting a lot of comments in the fact that I make the game 6, but I won't bet the Saints at 7.5. I might.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not that it doesn't make any sense. It's a lack of confidence in my number. Thank you for the comment. Difficult. I find sometimes your comments are very difficult to do a show while you're throwing darts. Let's move on to the Chargers and the Broncos, because both of you seem to like this game right now. FanDuel's got it -2.5, -118. There's basically between 2.5 and 3 in the market. 45.5, -110 at FanDuel. Let's start off with you, Judah. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think this comes down to, I got a message before the Chargers game, with the big SGP, saying what if the pass rate over expected for the Chargers stays, and it was a bet with Herbert 350, and I was that's a lot of yards. I would just if their pass rate's going to sustain itself, I think they're a lot better than 3.5 last night. And I think that the 2 highest weeks right now of pass rate relative to expectation are the Chargers, and especially on early downs. It was 18% in week 1, 17% in week 2. This is a team that I think is going to live and die by Justin Herbert. And I think he's healthy right now. The weapons are healthy right now. It does not seem like anyone can cover Ladd McConkey. Keenan Allen is still an excellent zone beater. It's unlocked Quentin Johnson as a deep threat. I think this is a terrific offense. And I'm also a little bit concerned on the Broncos side. Patrick Surtain left with the injury. He got beaten up pretty badly last week. I think this is a team that in the Chargers that is going to score a lot. There's something to be said about the fact that this defense is allowed among the fewest yards per attempt. The Bo Nix has not been good. The Broncos have changed the way they run their offense a bit. Bo Nix, his quick pass percentage last year was 44%. It's 65% this year. He's not really extending plays to the same level as he was, again, trying to get the ball out quick. I think the Chargers with Herbert as a pass first quarterback is just they're going to be a lot better of a team, and I think the market's a little bit slow to react to that.
Jewett has got the LA Chargers with his double hammer. They did lose Khalil Mack to an injury, but Dayon Henley and Derwin James are being used really well right now. They're kind of flying all over the field. Flup, you also have an angle in this game, and maybe you're not as optimistic on the Chargers defense as Judah is.
Well, I think the difference is, the Colts don't punt versus the Broncos, and Judah's like, is this the greatest show on turf? Is Daniel Jones the second coming of Mahomes? And I actually take a different angle, and I say, well, maybe the Denver Broncos defense isn't as good as people thought it was. Furthermore, I was very shocked to see the Chargers pass so much. There was a couple spots last night. I'm watching the game and I'm like, all right, they're gonna for sure start off with like run in the fourth quarter, and they were just passing on first down, and I was like, wow, who is Jim Harbaugh? Who is this? And look, when you have a team that's had a lot of success passing through the air, as you mentioned, Surtain might have some issues with a great quarterback, and I think they're going to score a lot of points. I leaned Judah side. I was going to make that a play, but I decided not to copy Judah, and instead I took a different route. The market steamed straight over on Denver Broncos and Chargers here at over 45.5. You're getting, I believe, best in market number here, and this is really a play on the Chargers offense and Denver's defense being quite bad, but also like I'm not super high on the Chargers defense. They had some injuries, and I just don't think they're that impressive so far. I think unfortunately Judah is right that Bo Nix isn't that good, but I still just trust that they'll be able to score at least something and make this total go over.
I like it. I back in July, I started the Green Bay Packers are the best team in the league narrative. I want to start a narrative. I like starting narratives because, when they're wrong, very few people remember, but when they're right, you get to be the guy who said, I'm the hero that called it earliest. I started the Justin Herbert MVP narrative yesterday in office. Rob was iffy on it. Jeff Feinberg liked it, and Kirk was half sold.
Jeff liked it. I'm shocked. That's a real unbiased source there.
You know what I said? With Burrow out and injured, and the fact that Mahomes and the Chiefs are 0-2, this might be an opportunity. Obviously, you're fading Lamar and Josh in that market. That maybe Justin Herbert, if he's just gonna play like this and just throw the ball a bunch, who knows? Maybe the Justin Herbert MVP train starts. Let's move on to Houston at Jacksonville. Right now, it's -1.5. Jacksonville -105. In market 43.5, -115 to the over. I actually want to ask Judah about Houston's offense because right now they're bottom 6 in EPA per play and success rate. They're not very hard to scheme against. Like Nico Collins is the one weapon, and their O-line's not very good. Now they are getting Christian Kirk back, but I wonder, Judah, what do you make of Houston's offense in this matchup against Jacksonville?
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. It's CJ Stroud with Nico Collins right now, and there's not much else. I think you're just so limited on offense when, number one, you just can't run the ball, and number two, when you are in obvious pass situations, what are you going to do? You can't block the opposing pass rush, and that is an area where Jacksonville can win with Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker. So. I think this could be a problem. We'll see what Jacksonville can do on the other side. Trevor Lawrence is seemingly good for 3 turnover-worthy plays out of nowhere, and this is it's been this way for years now. So I feel like it's going to come down to the turnovers. But yeah, to answer your question, I'd be very concerned about the Houston offense. It turns out that trading your left tackle and just not replacing him is going to, or shouldn't say not replacing him, and Cam Robinson is just not Laramie Tunsil. It's going to affect the rest of the offensive line. You don't just magically get to make it better.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence feels like he's good for one red zone interception that's uncalled for every game, but then his receivers always seem to drop balls. It's just a bad juju in the room. Their O-line hasn't been tested yet. I thought Carolina and Cincinnati were, very fortunate 2 teams to play in the first 2 weeks, but this is the real test against the Texans D-line. Flup, I'm right on market with this price. Do you see anything market-wise that piques your interest?
No, I mean, I make this Jacksonville -1.5 Seems that that's right on market here. I mean, if you shop around, maybe use some exchanges, you can get a better price here. But I'm just not impressed with the Texans right now. And, it kind of sucked for that loss in Jacksonville. But I think, Liam Cohen is making Lawrence look pretty good. So I think making the two teams roughly around equal strength, maybe Jack's side edge to the Jags, is kind of fair, and that's what it should be priced at.
All right, let's move on to Green Bay and Cleveland. I'll tell you, if you want to bet Cleveland, FanDuel is the place to do it, because right now they're offering Cleveland, you can get them plus 8.5, minus 115. It's literally the best in market. The line was 8 everywhere, and a lot of money came in on Cleveland. Moved the number to 7.5, 7 in some other books. Total right now is 42.5, minus 104. My question was going to be, has the market finally caught up to Green Bay? But they may have overcorrected. And Flup, I want to ask you, because you got some interest in this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of my favorite spots to bet in general, where you have a team that everyone's super high on, a team that's everyone's low on, and they're playing each other. And you can back the team that everyone's low on, because you almost always get some overreactions here. Well, I have upgraded Green Bay big. I would say they're the best team in the NFC, maybe slight lead right below the Eagles, but probably the best team in the NFC. But I don't think the Browns are this awful. They still have Flacco as the quarterback. He is not this bottom seller, not even top 32 guy. He can make some plays. He can move the ball. The defense is still reasonable. I don't think they're a good team by any stretch, but I'm getting 8.5 at home. Give me the Browns all day here.
All right, that's your triple hammer. I have a feeling it's best in market, you stale line merchant. I get it, though, but I will counter that Green Bay made Jared Goff and that Lions offense look not good, and he also did the same with Washington. So it's going to be – I'm actually very curious to watch how this game goes. Judah, what do you want to talk about with this? Do you have any –
I was just going to make fun of Chris here, that Joe – of all the things to say about the 8.5, you had to anchor on Joe Flacco of all things. A known back, maybe the fact that they're allowing 2 yards per carry on in their run defense, and
there's so many bad quarterbacks.
Heavy team. What?
There's so many bad quarterbacks in this league right now. I don't think Flacco is just this awful QB.
He's terrible.
You know what happened, Judah? Last week, Flup told us that Justin Fields could be the top 16 quarterback.
That's not what I said.
And so here's what he did. He wanted to make us forget about it. He came out and he said, "I feel pretty good about Carson Wentz." And then he told us, and then he said, "Joe Flacco's still a very good quarterback."
No, I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's good, but I'm not saying he's awful. Look, if this was Dylan Gabriel or Shador, this line, I would make this closer to 10, maybe 10.5, because those guys, you just can't trust them. You have to treat them as not even QB.
Yeah, but that's you're going to 5th round rookies here. They're going to be terrible.
Yeah, my point is I think they're pricing the Browns as if those are the quarterbacks, when Flacco is still the quarterback here.
That honestly, Shador is horrible. Yeah, that was not the comment I wanted. There's a world where the Commanders are not good on offense. Green Bay is still a question mark opinion. I don't know. I kind of like how Green Bay's front seven looks. If you've got some opinions on Flup's quarterback diagnosis here, we know a place where you can discuss it. We've got a new Discord happening. The Hammer audience is truly like a family, especially when they are roasting us in the chat like they are today. Familiar faces, inside jokes, and the one guy who everyone likes picking on. Well, here's your chance to continue the conversation. Join our new Hammer Discord, a chance for us to discuss all the games and news, share our favorite bets, and interact with your favorite Hammer creators. Discord.gg/Hammer to join now. We will make sure you get a link in the chat, and anybody who's watching this video later, they'll get that as well. Let's move on to Arizona and San Francisco. This was interesting. This market didn't start off with San Fran as favorites, and that we know a certain person who released San Fran. The injuries, Brock Purdy, of course, we don't know if he's going to go. It's unlikely that he plays, but all the cluster injuries on Arizona we're watching for in their secondary: Will Johnson, Max Melton, Garrett Williams. it remains to see who might be available. I think Will Johnson has the best shot. Right now, San Fran is -1.5 at FanDuel, -105. 43.5 is the total, -110. Our friend Hitman gave out San Fran when they were a slight dog, and the line has moved since. Let's start off with Flip. I actually wanted to ask you about the market move. Do you agree with the move to San Fran as favorites?
I'm not sure. I think this. I mean, is Brock Purdy questionable, or is he confirmed out here?
No, they're leaning that he's not playing for sure.
I was kind of shocked to see that they were favorites here. I thought like look, I don't know. I'm not elite with injury news by any stretch, and I kind of thought that this kind of meant that maybe Purdy had real equity to play. When you're telling me not, I don't see how that makes any sense. But I mean, I also didn't think Mac Jones was that significant of a downgrade to Purdy. I mean, I would only say a couple points here. If Purdy was in him, this is probably 3.5, 4. So maybe this is fair.
Okay, Judah, I'm going to ask you a double-barreled question. First one is, how did Mac Jones look, and how do you think he matches up against San Fran's secondary? And the other one is, Arizona's offense just has not. It just doesn't feel good yet. It feels like they've shown moments and a lot of inconsistent play. I'm curious your assessment on both.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, who's playing cornerback for the Cardinals this week, I think is a major question in evaluating Mac Jones. But we know the deal. Like, I think he's going to be serviceable in the Kyle Shanahan system. I don't think he has the scramble ability that Brock Purdy has to create. So he's going to take a lot more sacks. I think they're going to be a less effective offense. I think it's going to come down to like who's playing cornerback for the Cardinals. If it's a slew of backups, like they'll be able to put up points. I think Kyler Murray's been a kind of all over the place this season. I want to see how they actually play against a non-Panthers or Saints defense. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Kyle Shanahan is scheming some stuff to put the Cardinals like 4th, 5th, and 6th cornerbacks in living hell on Sunday. Let's move on to Dallas and Chicago. I actually want to lead off with you, Judah. You've got a play here. You've got some interesting tidbits of information to share with us here.
No, I just think this Chicago defense is absolutely atrocious. I mean, talk about a cornerback room that's injured. If you just look at like any, the stats that Chris absolutely despises. Here we go. Nice little graph here. Like this disruption rate is a combination of perfect coverage and pressure disruption, which are plays that disrupt a quarterback from ever going through his progression. You just see like this is and for those listening audio only, the Bears are at dead last in perfect coverage. They cannot cover. I think this is a spot where we see the Cowboys kind of throwing at will. The Bears are also playing a ton of single coverage. It's like 46%. They do not have the personnel right now to match up with this Dallas offense. I think the Dallas offense kind of steamrolls them. And like we've seen the deal with Caleb Williams. He's going to take himself out of so many situations. I think this is going to be a major problem for Chicago going forward. And I think Dallas is in a great spot here.
Yeah, you said they don't have the personnel. Jalen Johnson out with his groin issue. Kyler Gordon's not going to play. TJ Edwards is probably not going to play. Cowboys probably still without Deron Bland. Some people, we question how sharp they are. Gave out Chicago. They're not doing very well in the season. They want to break an 0-5 record. What's your read on this game, Flub?
Yeah, I don't know what Rass was thinking releasing Chicago here. I think this is they're going to get straight back bought with the Cowboys money coming straight in. And I think Judah is right. The Bears don't look good. The Cowboys look good. And I think this is going to hit one-way action from this point on. And I would not be surprised to see Cowboys close as a point, maybe even 1.5 or 2 favorite.
I actually was not referring to Raz. I was referring to our friend GRP, but
I was referring to Raz.
Yeah. Well, they're aligned on this play. I don't know what it says about it. Judah's got it as his triple hammer. I'm also looking at Dallas. I didn't want to give it as one of my 3 plays. Judah had it up as his triple hammer. I like Dallas here. The one thing I will say is I think Roma Dunze is going to cook. Kyer Illim, like nobody has given up more yards through the air than him. I saw a stat and I wanted to search up his name on Twitter. You know, when you search up the name and try to re-find it, I had to wade through like 300 comments of people saying get him off the field. Dallas fans. He's like been toasted for like over 230 yards. That'll be interesting. Let's move on to Kansas City and the New York Giants. It is the Sunday nighter. Right now, FanDuel's got it -5.5, -118. Total right now is 45.5, -108. There are 6s and 6.5s in the market. I want to lead off here because it is my triple hammer, the KC -5.5, -118. I make Kansas City close to 7 in this game. I really don't like what I saw from the Giants defense. I think you can absolutely torch it. And while Russ looked good against a very bad Dallas defense, I think Kansas City is a huge step up. Trent McDuffie playing on Malik Neighbors. Not that he's going to completely shut him out, but he's probably going to limit him. I think the Travis Kelce, drop interception at the 1 yard line absolutely changed the game and maybe the perception. I never give out Chiefs. I don't think I've ever given out a Chiefs bet on the hammer, but I really like the Chiefs to move the ball here. And we've never seen Mahomes 0-2. We've never seen him losing 3 games in a row. I think Mahomes, this might be the game where it's just like absolutely hitting like everything. As long as they can block that Giants D-line, I really like how Kansas City moves the ball. Let's start off. Let's go to you, Jito. What do you make of like the Chiefs' early struggles?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's pretty real. They're not playing with a great supporting cast. The pass defense was terrible in week 1. I would be somewhat concerned. I think what gives me a little bit of hope is that like Mahomes has seemingly found his scramble magic again, where like he was pretty bad last year and then a little bit towards the second half of 2023 as well. Yeah, I think we should still have a strong prior. Like the Chiefs have been good for so long. Areas of concern for sure. But what's everyone smiling about? I just see you guys kind of like giddy, and I know it's not what I'm talking about.
It's not. There's a comment about Flup, and I actually had a thought. Flup's being called out for picking off stale numbers and
there we go.
backfilling with
when
like
you get something like that, it's just we gotta stop everything, put it on screen.
No, you know what? I gotta give Kanish credit for something he said on a Circle Back episode. He said, in the content world, if you came out and just said, here's my numbers, here's what's off, here's what I'm betting, you'd not have a content show. It'd just be like basically you might as well just post the spreadsheet. Sometimes your numbers just say something to bet, and you gotta kind of fill in analysis that makes it not look absolutely dumb.
Yes.
Flup, your thoughts on this game?
Well, it was due to finish. I don't want to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good.
I mean, I have certain individuals on Twitter claiming that Mahomes is washed and Mahomes is like bottom quarterback. I don't know what he's talking about there. I still think Mahomes is quite very elite, but I'm actually right on market, and I'm actually shocked that you're giving out Chiefs. I guess technically I make this 5, but I wouldn't be betting Chiefs -5.5, -118 at all. Look, Russ in the deep ball was very real here. And who is Mahomes going to throw to? Kelce is washed. Rashee Rice and Worthy are out. Who's he throwing? Who is he throwing to? This is just brutal for them. I don't think they have any real weapons. It's going to be tough for them to move the ball. I don't see them winning at scale here, like not scale, in a blowout fashion.
Well, Tyquan Thornton. Maybe,
wow, a real weapon there.
I don't know that Xavier Worthy's for sure not playing. I lean not, but listen, I had the lowest team total for Giants when we did our preseason preview, and I haven't got off my priors. I believe that performance was just against a bad Dallas secondary. I think it's a way different game. I actually want to talk about a market.
Time out.
Yes.
You're calling a 450-yard performance an accident?
No, I'm not calling it an accident. But like let's look at week 1-2 against a Washington defense that I'm not convinced is great.
But that's the point. That's the point. It's like this is the range of outcomes. And I think that's what Chris is saying. It's like when you're so reliant on a deep ball, but like we got to acknowledge that the right tail exists. It's not just the left.
Against bad defenses, against probably the best defense he's going to face. I don't know that exists. And I may be wrong at the end of the day, but I don't know that. And listen, I bet the over last week in the Giants Dallas game. Like nothing that happened last week was shocking to me. And when we were doing our survivor analysis, I said Dallas is a fucking landmine here. It's a bad spot. Giants +6 was a bet. So it's not like it was pro Giant, just pro Giants. I just thought the matchup worked because of how bad Dallas' secondary was, especially without Deron Bland. I want to actually talk about the last game, the Monday nighter, and the line. I've got a story about in office right now. FanDuel -5.5 for Baltimore -113. The total's 51.5 -115. There are in the market. There was some Detroit buy-in. There was 6s before, and right now there's 4s and 4.5s. I was talking to Jason Cooper on Monday in office, and I said, "Wow, like Detroit +6," and he says to me, "Yeah," he goes, "Baltimore auto click." I'm like, all right, I make the number 4.25. I don't know where the auto click for Baltimore made any sense, but Flup, let's start with you. Big market move. How are you reading this?
I was very shocked to see this market move. I mean, Baltimore got clicked late. I didn't think it was going to come. I thought it was going to end 11.5 versus Cleveland, and they just got clicked straight through. And I was, yes, obviously the Lions looked very good versus the Bears there, and they really ran up the score. But people really like the Ravens, and I would totally expect come Sunday or Saturday night we to get all this Baltimore money. And I see like on Chris, we see a 4.505. I'm sorry, I would be clicking that in Baltimore right now. What's FanDuel at? FanDuel's at 5.5 -110. I mean, you can get better out there if you want to bet Ravens, but if you really like the Lions, FanDuel's the place to go. I'm just shocked by the amount of Detroit money coming in. Maybe it's people overreacting to it, but all it seems as the sharpest money which comes in Saturday night and Sunday was all over Baltimore, and I expect to see it again this week.
So you think this touches back to 6?
Yeah, probably.
All right, Judah, how are you reading how these teams match up against each other?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Baltimore matches up well against anyone. They're a house on offense, and I think the Lions are going to play also a ton of single coverage. It's going to, I think, make this a talent battle first and foremost. Also makes it very difficult to contain Lamar Jackson. But I think like Zay Flowers right now is a huge mismatch, and like they're going to score. I don't know what's going on with the Lions offense. I think obviously you have to react to a team putting up 50 points. Chris, it's not that funny. And no. I think you just got to roll with it. And I think the Bears defense also, as I said, I think is like beyond terrible right now. That I think contributed a bit to the Lions side of things. And obviously it's going to be a different story against Baltimore. Yeah, I think it's, again, we've seen a couple of differing performances from the Lions offense. I think the truth lies somewhere in between. Ravens are a house. Don't have anything to add.
Yeah. Last time I not that I'm giving out Detroit. Last time I came out and said, you know what, 2 years ago, I said, I like Seattle +6.5 against the Ravens. Seattle lost by 35. So I've been wrong in this spot before against the Ravens. There are some injuries that they're working through. Kyle Van Noy is not going to play. Marlon Humphrey got banged up. Jair Alexander, I don't know what happened. There was no like injury designation, and then he was inactive, but they say he's still like, he's not completely healthy. So I'm not sure what they're going to do there. I think that's it for us. We got all our bets in, and I'm curious if we can pull up the recap board because let's see how we're going to do. Right now, triple hammers, I've got KC -5.5 -118. Flup is Cleveland +8.5 -115. Judah's Dallas moneyline -108. My double hammer is Tennessee +3.5 -110. Flups is Minnesota -3 -105. Judah Chargers -2.5 -118. And our single hammers, I've got New Orleans Seattle over 41.5 -105. Flups got the over in the Chargers Denver game 45.5 -110. And Judah's got Indy -3.5 -110. We are crossing on that game, and I look forward to having to explain to you why I crossed and picked a bad number, Judah. I'm hoping I'm right about Cam Ward and the Titans. That's it for us. We would love a few things from you guys. If you guys can drop some comments, tell us what your favorite of our 9 bets is and what the worst bet you saw us give out. Send a general like button. You know, I know sometimes it's difficult to remember to do these things, but we appreciate whenever you do. Honestly, the show doesn't happen without the audience, because clearly Flup, he loves reading the comments, just ignoring my analysis. Judah, I don't know about you, but I feel like Flup didn't hear anything either of us said today.
No, that is not
No,
true.
he tunes right out. He tunes right out. I think he's thinking about how to justify the next Steam tracing line. It takes some thought.
That's true. I mean, look, all I do is I just look at the market, pick something best in market, and then make up some random nonsense that sounds smart. But then I get called out in the chat because they can see right through it. It's all good.
I'm thinking, you know, class presentations, you used to go up there, you know, half-baked research and just bullshitting your way through your 15
That was me.
Yes, I could tell. Right. I just you see the market. Here's what's stale. All right, we'll make up the analysis when we get to the game. That's it for us. We've got Hammer Daily coming up tomorrow at 1. We'll have our newsletter with all the early practice reports. If you love Best Bet Show, on Thursday, it's Rob Bazzola, Austin Mock, and Suma. Thanks to the audience. You've all been wonderful. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Jacob for producing. Thanks to Flup and Judah. Good luck with your bets and have a great rest of your evening.